Hello, everyone. Um, this is a tutorial for showing you guys how to animate CAD drawings. So assuming that you guys have watched some of the FAMIC tutorials to draw, and if you guys haven't, I will link a video in the description below, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're only going to be focusing on animating the drawings, right? And so for a description, what we are going to be doing is animating the garage door and the motor, right? Those are the only two things that are going to be moving in this virtual scenario. So if we go to Automation Studio, I've made my drawings. And now what we're going to do is go to this function. Let's see, let me move my tools. And actually, let me show you guys how to even go to the sub function, right? So we go to home, document, and what you guys are gonna do once your drawing is finished, you're gonna click sequential function chart, right? What that is gonna do is here it is. It's gonna bring you to this window right here, SFC. That is the sequential function chart. And what that is gonna do, it's gonna allow you to kind of code it, right? Code the animation, what is gonna happen. So the first thing, you're gonna have a blank page, obviously. So you're gonna go to home, and then to get this box, you go here, and you have different ones. Usually it's this one, the initial step. And so you see that right there. You make another one, and then you make some transitions, right? One right there, another one right there, and you combine them like that. Okay, so let me delete those because we don't need it. And you just combine them. Next, you are gonna make a structural text, which is the ST1, ST2, and ST3, and how many more you need. These are boxes where you're gonna write your code. If you double click that, this is where you're gonna write your code, right? If I double click this one right here, boom, I have my code, and I will show you guys how to do that right now. Also this right here, when you double click on these, right, you're also able to make your code. And this is, since we are starting from 1 to 2, right? If we animate this, we can see that it's gonna be animated. Watch. So we click, right? That's how it functions. So now it's closing, and I can open it and I can close it, right? So going back to this, so when we double click on the box, we first have to identify what is gonna be animated, right? So I've named the two things that are gonna be animated, which is gonna be the garage and the rotor, the motor or rotor, whatever you guys want to call it, right? And the way that we do this is we add variables. So it's a lot to take in right now, but bear with me. You guys can go back to the video and rewind it. So, but we hit F12, and F12 will bring you to the variable manager. And that is basically where you have all of the variables, right? So usually you will not have any of these. And so what you want to do is you want to add your variables. So you go here, add variable, and say I want to do the garage, right? So I will name it garage. And the two things that are going to be animated, or that are going to be the inputs, right? Those are going to be real. And if I'm not mistaken, the difference between the bool type and the real type is that the real will input a 1 or a 0, so basically a true or false. So we hit OK, and there it is, garage. So if you name your variable like that, then you will come back here and you will say, actually you can find, see, there it is. Or we can just type it, right? Either one. You can say garage equals to 0, right? And same with these as well. So for example, I've named my variables the inputs and outputs. So I just go in and I'd be like, hey, say, these are all gonna be the outputs, sorry. So all of these are outputs, my mistake. So we'll go to all of the outputs and double click that. So it appears just like that. And you set that equal to 0, right? You want all of these to be equal to 0. See, like all of these. Right. So I'm not going to save that. So yeah, these are all the outputs. And so for example, like this one right here, that output O dash 00, that one is pointing to this one right here, to the motor up, right? So these are all the outputs. Now we go to the structural text, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. This is another variable. All these that you guys see are just variables, and you are not gonna type them because that's gonna take too long. So you just go and look them up, right? You know, this is a variable that I added, right? And it's real. So this is just a variable that you can change the speed, right? I want to change the speed of the garage, how fast it's gonna be. So I just double click that and you see it's the exact same thing. And I can just be like column equals to 0.5. We wanna be slower or faster, right? So it's literally just double clicking things and it will appear here, right? You're not actually typing, you know, you're more like looking at what is going on, double clicking, and it will appear here. And now you just have to understand what is going on, right? So what this code is saying, okay, so the garage is equal to the garage 0, the initial one, right? Which we called, that starts at 0. So it starts at 0 and it would increment at the variable, which is this one here, it would increment by 0.1. That's what it's saying. If, right, this is the if statement. So if the motor up, which I've named that one right there, motor up, and the actual garage is less than 30. If it's gonna be greater than 30, right, then it's gonna stop. And why did I choose 30? So if we go to the drawing, right, this is just a drawing, just a rectangle, and I wanted to resize vertically. So we go to resizing, and here it is. And this is all just manipulation, right? From the view. Originally, it will be at the center, and you just kind of eyeball it to where it's closest. This is the center, right? If it was 0, it was 0, and I click here to see, boom, there it is at 0, right? So we just eyeball it to kind of where it's closest at. See? Vertical resizing. So what is it gonna be resizing by? By 0.5, 0.1, right? And the corresponding variable. Now, this right here is gonna be what the number you're gonna use over there, right? So if you wanted to resize like up to 50 or something like that, then you gotta use that number in your equation. And we're gonna see the same thing here, right? The one thing that's being energized, It's not the circle. I have to zoom in. There you go. This is what is being energized. And this is a rotation. I think it's free rotation. Yep, there you go. So pretty much the same. Now I set the corresponding variable limit to be 30 because I wanted to match with the door. So I matched this to be with the door. And we're gonna see that in the code as well, right? And the maximum rotational angle is full 360. Centroid, we don't want to change that because we want it to rotate at the centroid. So it will depend on what you're making. But yeah, it's just playing around. And we're gonna see that more here. Now, same thing here, right? We got this part down based on the garage. Now we got to do the opposite, right? Because we wanted to go up and down as well, not just going up. So now we kind of change our logic and say, now it's going to decrease by the same speed, at the same speed, or you can make a new variable. And if you wanted to come down faster, you can make a new variable and add that here. And we say if, now this one right here, 0201, that is my motor down. So if this one and the garage is greater than 0, then energize this, right? Then that becomes a real. Remember that 100? So it becomes real. Now we move down here, and these are the variables that are gonna be for the light, and this is gonna change for whatever model that you guys are doing. But the logic again is basically the 103. If we go here and we check, let me move my bar. See 103, which is gonna be this light switch here. Right. There you go. So these are just the light switches. And again, it's just the logic, right? So by when do I want it to actually be energized? And if we see it in the simulation, if we see it, if it's gonna play, see, you'll see the light, boom, right there, right? It's energized. See right now, you can see in the graph what's being energized and what is not, right? What is happening. There we go. And you will see, boom, the 04 is energized. The 104 is energized. And that's based on the restrictions and the logic that you guys write. And one of the things that when I first started doing this, I thought we had to write this manually, but all of these variables, you are just double clicking on whatever it is, right? So if I was gonna go down here, like double click that, look, it's the same thing. And you just double click, parentheses, and just basically double click all the variables that you guys have named beforehand. Moving on to the next one, the structural text 2 is basically making the inputs as HMI. And what that basically means, I don't have a good grasp of this, like as to why, but I think it's just basically that it brings the variables that you have into the drawing right here, right? It makes them as inputs, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, please correct me, because I'm also learning as I'm going. And that's pretty much it. These are the inputs left, and here are some of the light switches, right? So those are different and used for different different scenarios. And before I forget, the rotor is basically the exact same thing. The exact same thing, and that's it is because it has to match with the door, right? I wanted to stop um, when the gate stops, and I wanted to stop when the gate fully closes, when it fully opens. So it's pretty much the same thing as the code for the garage. It's just the variable is different, right? Now it's the variable for the rotor and for the gate. And if we move on to the last one, now since I've called these units, I'm pretty much basically doing the same thing here. Now, if we go to the code, let's see, let's try to read this. And if you guys are wondering how that HMI got there, I'm not typing it. It should be here. If we go down, see like HMI 10-4, see, double click that one and it shows up right there. And so you guys do not have to type anything by hand. You should just be able to double click things and work that logic, right? And so let's see. So this is for, which one is this one? I4 for 0202, right? So let's see what that one is about. 0202. Okay, so these are for the outputs, right? So if I'm opening the door, it should blink, and it is basically doing the same thing as this model right here. That is basically what we wanted to do, but without deviating. The purpose of this video is just to animate the door in the garage. So this is just logic for the lights and the switches and the rest of the components, right? But if you just wanted to animate a CAD drawing, really all you need is just this right here. You need, come on, you need this structure right here, and you need your text. These other ones are just basically gonna be working with the animation, but really it's mainly right here, right? This is your if statement, right? If the rotor, if we go here, right? If the rotor, right, the rotor is gonna be equal to the initial, which is 0, plus your input, the variable, which is 0.1. If, right, this comes, if the light switch, right, if O2, meaning the motor up, and the actual garage is less than 30, then go ahead and animate that rotor, right? Go ahead and move the rotor 360 degrees. And in a nutshell, this is basically what is gonna happen. Now, a key thing that I wanna show you guys is once you got the what I'm trying to say, the sequential function chart done, then a way to test that your model is working is by putting some switches, right? And these switches are just gonna be in your electrical components. Here it is. A normally open switch and normally closed. Now, okay, when you drag those right there, it's asking you for the variable name. Now, you want to name this the same way that you name your component. So if motor up, right, that's what's gonna be energized. You want to name that switch the same way. If not, it's not going to recognize it. So watch, let me show you guys this one right here. Data. Where is it? So see here, I've named it the same. And yeah, that's really the main thing that you guys want to do it. And then obviously, once you do variable assignment, you're gonna link your actual variable. So if I actually do this, right, I would say to how was it? 00, I think. So I named it. Oh, I have it backwards. There you go. Right, so I've named it the same, and now variable assignment. Now I am gonna link that to the actual variable right there. Double click it. It might not let me because I already have another one. So let's try another one. There you go. Oh, there you go. No, that was weird. But yeah, you double click that, and now that it's linked, it should work. And it indicates it by give you a blue light that is going to be energized. And we do the same exact thing now for the motor down. And you only do these once, and now you can simulate them and check if it works, both of them. And you should be able to see both sequential function and the animation being worked at the same time. If you don't, and this is one of the problems that I run into as well, you go to simulation and you want to make sure that you have the project simulation, not the document simulation. If you have document simulation, it is only going to simulate the window that you are on right now, and it will not simulate the other one. So you want to make sure that is on so you can have both of them linked. And that is basically the basis of just simulating your model, right? That is how you animate. And there's a different one, and I'm gonna leave you guys with this as well. Let's see where it is. This one. This is a different type of simulation as well. This is calling for drawings that are already in Automation Studio. So you can say, in this case, I have, what is that? For one of the hydraulics, one of these cylinders, right? Watch. This is all just one drawing, right? And kind of the same thing, but what's different now is that I can link this to work with this right here. So if I show you guys, right, this works normally, and I wanted to actually work with the model. I wanted to animate it with the model, and that is a different. Now you're not doing any type of coding. You are basically just linking those two. So see, that is resizing, was it? Yeah. And the X scale. Let's see, view. Yeah, there you go. And basically the same kind of concept. You make your model and you change some names, and man, let me see. Positional components. Change rotation. Yeah, okay. Let's see. So one thing we want to check is this right here. So variable assignment, it's what's basically what going on with the cylinder, right? So the output signal position, I may want to link that right there, the position of the cylinder, to work with the model right here. So if I go to resizing and then I put output, let's see, we're just gonna have to kind of scroll down through these and kind of check what you want this to simulate with, right? Let's see. Output signal position. Let's try that. Sure. Should still work. There you go. Let's see. Yeah. And then from there, you also want to check some of the data that it has. So how much is it exerting forces? By how much is it moving? And you have all that data given to you. And that is what you're going to use in the drawing itself, right? When you're resizing some of the stuff. And honestly, it's just mainly playing with the numbers, checking your view where it's at and how much you want it to resize it, how fast you want it to be. And this is just a general drawing, nothing else. Well, I hope this helps some of you guys. I certainly do not know everything, but I hope this helps you guys understand and have a clear knowledge of what is happening, how to animate just drawings themselves without having to link anything to it, right? So I hope that helps. And yeah, let me know if you guys need anything, any questions, link them. And yeah, leave any comments.